Go on. Oh, I've lost it. Oh, there we go.
All right.
I'm excited.
Shall we?
We shall.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 215, recorded January 31st, 2019. On tonight's episode, we discussed the...
I'm keeping that.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 215, recorded on January 31st, 2019. On tonight's episode, we discuss the delay of Metroid Prime 4. Financial reports, some new games are coming to mobile devices, and more stuff, including Smash Brother updates. Jesse, cue the music, would you?
Is this Lloyd Henderson's show?
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 215 of Nintendo Dads. I am Marty, and we are here tonight pouring one out for the Nintendo Wii Shop channel, which as of this recording is DED, dead, as we say here in the South. Joining me this week on the show, also from somewhere near the South, Mr. Jesse Waldack of VGTribune.com. How are you, buddy?
I am good. I am in my full 44 kilohertz range this time. We finally figured out the problem to my audio issues. My audio settings was set to 8,000 instead of 44,000, so it sounded like I was talking into a muffled tin can.
Yeah, and technically you were at that point. You might as well have just held up a tin can with string attached to it, with 3 other strings that went to us.
Like this?
Yeah, like that.
And we appreciate everyone who has given us the feedback that Jesse's audio levels were not quite there yet. So thank you to everyone who let us know. We do appreciate that.
We even thank you for the people who just basically said he sounded like crap.
Yeah. And then they were like, also his audio levels down. Do.
Oh, and they're straight from Ireland delivering the sick burns. Ooh. Mr. Justin Masson, finally back on the show, by the way.
Finally. Well, I like to pop on. I'm like a cameo character. Every once in a while I'll show on and wait for the applause and everybody like claps and you have to kind of like wait and you're like, okay, hey, I'm back. And like, obliged, kind of like obligated catchphrase lines like wobble puff it and I don't know, stuff.
Wobble puff it?
And stuff, yeah.
So you are our Stanley?
Yeah, exactly. Excelsior!
You are the Riku to our Kingdom Hearts.
I don't know Kingdom Hearts enough to know that reference.
Yeah,
thank you.
See, that's the point, Justin. Nobody knows Kingdom Hearts.
I would also like to say...
and mash buttons. Speaking of playing things and mashing buttons, though, Gary Gray from Nintendo Village and Nintendo Dads. How's it going, man?
The Euro boys are back together, and I promise we're going to be on our best behavior today.
Euro boys.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Just leave that over there. All right. Leave your techno over there. And
Look, I've left the flat cap behind.
I noticed that.
And got a beanie just so that we can do the Euro boys. Just one extra level of the Euro-ness.
It's awesome.
Just when I thought that Gary, in the most, I just want you to say, in the most, the best way I can say this, just when I thought Gary could not get any more stunning, I was up in the beanie.
You know what? Having met him face to face, it's amazing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's the stunningness and the appeal of him is just too heavy. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm like, Gary, I can't even be in the same room as you. You need to go to a different developer and talk to them. I can't deal with this. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I don't know. I have no words.
Oh, and yeah, we are veering off the path here very quickly. But let me bring us back. Let me bring us back. We have a ton of news to talk about, so much so that Justin admonished us before the show. We've got to cut some of this out, yeah.
You know what?
We got to cut some of this down so it's not a 3-hour podcast, eh? And so we've done that. We've struck through some things, and we're just going to dive straight into the news direct to you right here because this is the only Nintendo Direct you're getting in January. Here we go. Hey, Justin.
Yo.
Do you remember who our news is brought to us by?
Oh, let me dust off my old notes, but I believe, let's check here. Flip. I believe our news is brought to us by Patreon, actually specifically our amazing Patreon supporters who help us fund the show, keep us ad-free, keep us on track every single month. Now, I think we do have some new supporters on there for Patreon as well. Marty, remind me, who are those amazing supporters?
One new supporter this week, Joseph DiMatteo. We are thankful for him, and we're thankful for all of our supporters over at patreon.com. You guys are helping us reach goals and do all kinds of other stuff. $30 a month patrons this month got a brand new perk, by the way, which is a brand new monthly art card or quarterly art card that is dropped straight to them. So if you're a $30 patron, go check out the Patreon website. It's in there for you. You can download that. You can use it however you want. Also, $15 patrons and up got a new perk this month as well. Gary just dropped a brand new video for them this week. You cannot see it right now if you are under the $15 level. It will eventually be available to everyone on the Nintendo Dads YouTube channel. But right now it's just for those $15 and up patrons, and it is video of him and his daughter playing Pokemon Let's Go. It's heartwarming.
It's adorable.
It's just. Does she know, by the way, like how like the popular following she's gaining?
Yes and no. Every time she gets home from nursery, she's like, "Dad, can we record a video for YouTube, please?"
Before she's walking, and as she's showing up to nursery, she's like signing autographs in the parking lot.
Yeah,
fans.
One of her favorite things is to watch a YouTuber called Ryan's Toy Reviews. So I think she's already got aims to overtake Ryan.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what you need to do now is if you're going to do these videos, she needs a Pikachu for her shoulder.
Oh, she definitely does. She loved it.
Yeah.
Right. So is this going to spawn a new subset of show with Marty's son, my son, and your daughter?
Nintendo Kids.
Yeah, it's coming. Look for it soon. It's $50 a month patrons. It's out there. They don't exist. Let's talk about other things that don't exist right now. Getting right into our news.
You jerk! That was.
Look, it
still hurts.
It still hurts. It stings a little bit. Guys, as usual, right after we recorded our show last week, really just a few hours later after the show dropped on Friday, Nintendo released a video to all of their YouTube channels, basically letting us in on the heartbreaking news that Metroid Prime 4 is not only delayed, but they are restarting development from scratch with a brand new development studio.
Yeah, I think this also started the YouTube's problem of not emailing their subscribers, because I looked through my email. I didn't get a single email saying you had a new video from Nintendo, but I got about a dozen of other people talking about it. I'm like,
yeah, I
don't know what they're talking about yet.
My Twitter feed blew up, and the very first video I saw about it was Justin's reaction video.
Well, and that's really the only video you should be seeing about it.
It is the only one that matters, right? But it was people responding to us on our Twitter. Usually because I sleep in a little bit on Friday mornings after recording the show. But man, I have never at once, like for a game, seen so much pleasure come from a delay, right?
Well, I gotta
give it to the Nintendo community on this. That, like, for the most part, and I know that there's, people floating on the edges, right? But for the most part, reactions to this were largely, oh, that sucks, but we get it.
And that's one of the things that I think that Nintendo does really, really well. And I think, it's interesting that, kind of on the precipice of this was obviously, this week was a big game week for other systems, obviously, Kingdom Hearts 3. And that's a game that has been delayed for a very long time, several times, and creates quite a hype around it. But I think what Nintendo did here, and I think this is
3 console cycles.
Right, yeah. This is why I'm always really impressed with Nintendo's ability to communicate the way they do. Now, sometimes they don't communicate enough, but what they do in there is they create transparency. And I think, it was a 4-minute video. There wasn't anything special about it. Just hey, you know what? It wasn't what we want it to be. We know you're excited about it. We expect better, and here's what we're gonna do. And it was great because it allowed for, there had been hype even before this, obviously, of like, hey, it's going to show up at the Game Awards, and the next Nintendo Direct is going to have something in it, which, the Nintendo Direct didn't show up. But it allows for Nintendo to begin to temper expectations. And I think Nintendo is not deaf to how important this game is to Nintendo fans and why they want it, right? And so I think that allowing them to get in front of it and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, it's not what we want yet. It's not where it needs to be. Allowed for it to own its message in a different way, and I think that's how the reaction occurs. I applaud Nintendo for it. Is it disappointing? For sure it is, but I totally get it.
Yeah. So I've seen a couple of things floating around about the game and about development and why Nintendo did this and why they restarted. And of course, one of the first things I saw was how similar tonally and how similar visually this video was to Eiji Aonuma's video when Zelda got delayed, when Breath of the Wild got delayed.
Please
black
understand.
screen with a logo. It fades into them standing in front of a white screen. No music, just him, his voice, and a heartfelt apology, right? And I think Nintendo, of course, they don't want to do this. They want to release a product, right? They want to be able to move forward on it. But one of the things that I saw floating around this week about this was that this game was actually being worked on by several development teams, and some of them had progressed further than others, and one or two just did not cut what Nintendo wanted. And so this game was kind of being pieced together. So that's one side of it. On the other side of it, I've heard one developer's name thrown around in particular about this game. And so I want to ask this question. I'm not going to say mine yet. Who do you think was working on this game?
I think Namco Bandai? There we go.
One of those, yes.
One of them.
That would have been my guess, too.
Okay.
Namco Bandai.
That was
Namco.
my guess. That's actually the name. That's the actual other name of the company that I've seen thrown around out there.
They made the last few Smash games, right? Or
right.
Part of it.
Yeah. So, I've just tried to spitball this in my own head this week and think about this. I wonder, what did Nintendo see and go, oh my gosh, this has to stop?
You know what? It's tough to say, and I think that when we talk about Nintendo and they have a specific look they're looking for, a specific design, and I think right. They understand the importance of this game. I think, especially the Western franchise, right? I don't know what it was, but obviously not up to their standard. But for them to say, "Hey, we're going to redo the whole thing," I think I don't know. I think it's smart.
Here's the thing. For them to do this, this is the criticism I saw online. For them to restart development, yet they've released in the past Other M and Federation Force. This had to be really bad.
That's a jerk statement.
It really is.
That is the comment that a lot of jerky people are making.
Yeah, unfortunately, hardly any of them ever played Federation Force because it was solid. But the thing is with this is something that will happen a lot. It's not announced. They announced this game far too early, and I'm sure that other games in the past have been completely scrapped and restarted, including Zeldas and Marios. And I think that this was just all down to they needed to announce something on the Switch at the time. They needed to get people excited for something, especially the Western audience.
Okay. Let's go back to E3 26. What was it? E3 2017. This was released.
Yep.
Announced. go back and look at that presentation. Did they really need to?
You know what?
They
I don't
announced Rocket League. Did they not announce? Was Doom not announced then as well? I mean, I think there were some other larger titles that were announced. I know they showed Yoshi. They showed. Did they really have to announce Metroid Prime 4 then?
Well, the trouble is you know, a lot of companies need to build their tracks for the future, and I think that was all that Nintendo was doing.
Of course.
I mean, Rocket League.
We're
and Doom
looking
is
at
all
it 2020 vision, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Rocket League is an old game, and Doom, you know, is one of those things that you can get everywhere. So they needed to say, right, this is coming, and it's something that's no different from what Xbox, especially, and PlayStation do. You know, Spider-Man's coming in 27 years. Final Fantasy Remake is never coming, but we're going to promise it to you, and Kingdom Hearts eventually. So it's the same thing. It's
everybody
it's
waiting
everybody
for Final
does.
Fantasy needs to realize Kingdom Hearts was in development for 13 years.
That's been scrapped and restarted.
Oh,
Definitely.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And so, I mean, this is why we're hearing so much about this, is because it's strange for a company to come out and be so transparent, but it's also really cool that they have, and I think that's why the reception has been so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
This is
I
also the
just
same.
honestly-
This is also the same E3 that had Metroid 2 remake, which is probably why they said, "Yeah, we are starting to develop a Prime. Don't worry," because otherwise people would
I
say,
agree with that.
Where's
That's a
where's
great point.
Prime?" If they didn't mention.
So here's the thing. I'm going to say this, and I'll probably get some crap for it, but I'll say this: if anybody is going to talk about this and rate Nintendo over the coals, yet not do the same thing for Hideo Kojima and Death Stranding, get out. I'm sorry. I'm tired of seeing that game.
People understand what Prime is. People still have no idea what Death Stranding is.
No, we've seen nothing.
Right.
I'm
It's
still
been
convinced that
what,
it's
3
not even a
E3s?
game. I think that at this point it's a performance piece.
That'd be awesome if it was.
It would be.
It just
It'd be
plays like
fantastic,
Journey.
but-
All
but I'm
right,
just
now
saying, like, don't.
the question that I think runs out of this is: do you think we're going to see a trilogy? Right, because that's always the rumor is that there's got to be a Metroid Prime trilogy. Are we going to see that? Are we going to see it right away? I mean, I'm a full believer that they're going to more likely release it just before the game is released, right? To build that hype, I would say 6 to 9 months beforehand.
Okay.
Just kind of like they did with, I don't know. So do you guys think we're going to see a Metroid Prime trilogy or close?
I put this in the notes. Imran Khan from Game Informer says it's done,
and it could be, right? So
and it could be coming out this year. Like if Metroid Prime was going to come out later this year, it could have been set to come out this year, and now they're going to hold it.
We didn't. I don't think we probably did our due diligence here when we said this, folks. But the company that has been assigned to it is Retro Studios. Retro Studios was the ones that actually did the Prime last time. So that's
we kind of beat around the bush on it, but
yeah.
Okay,
Which doesn't mean that it's going to be a great game as the original games, because Retro now is a different company more or less than it was 15 years ago.
True.
Correct.
True, but here's the deal. Why did they not go with them in the first place?
You know what? It could, to be honest, Retro might have had some other things on their studio docket at that time.
Yeah.
Do you mean they may not have had the resourcing? So I don't think you can. There may have been an overpricing. There may have been a lot of things that we just don't know about.
Yeah, we haven't heard from them since the Donkey Kong games, and I have to think that they were working on something. I think whatever they were working on got benched in place of this.
Well, that's why we haven't seen Star Fox Grand Prix.
You're still going there?
Because that idea sounds like the worst thing ever.
Yeah,
Two things there. Sales of Metroid, sales of Donkey Kong. That's why we've not heard from Retro. Why would they waste the studio to make a game that's not going to sell as well when they can make a Donkey Kong which sells way better? That's what's been happening. That is the truth.
And that is really the bottom line, because as much as we love Metroid and other people love Metroid, it just doesn't sell. I mean, it doesn't sell as much, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of sales,
even when you remake it, it doesn't sell. Speaking of sales, segue, I love it. There's been a release date leaked today on the internet, speaking of sale, for a game that several of our listeners are probably interested in for this year, and that would be Animal Crossing for the Nintendo Switch. A Twitter user claimed to speak to a game manager, game being a UK-based video game retailer, who was then able to place a pre-order for Animal Crossing releasing on April 29th, 2019. Now, Justin and Gary, you guys have probably been to one of these stores before, right?
Yep, it looks a lot like a GameStop.
Okay. Well, I want you to take a minute right now and tell everybody why this is wrong.
Okay, right. I don't know where to start because this is going to get nasty very fast.
Okay. No, go ahead. This is
Right.
a good lesson here.
I walk into my game, I say, when is this game released? And they pull out this plastic folder with pieces of paper jammed in, which are all different colours with different prints on, and in no sort of organisation at all. And they flick the pages, and they go, oh, it says this. If you go there and ask, when's Mighty Number 9 coming out on 3DS, they will probably still give you a date. They are so severely
The bad thing about that
disorganised.
is that I don't know what's worse. The fact that there's a date or the fact that someone's asking for Mighty Number 9 on the 3D.
So basically they are incredibly disorganized, and I would never ever trust any of their release dates because they've been very wrong in the past. So yeah, I would take that one with a large lorry and maybe a whole other planet of salt.
That's a lot of salt.
That is a lot of salt.
A lot of salt. It's like a
Not as salty as I could have got, but it's still a bit of salt.
All of the sodium chlorides.
right?
So honestly, you know, in terms of a shop, yeah, it's like GameStop. It's a game store. I don't know what else to say. But if you're looking for information, especially if it's from a member of staff in store, then it's probably not right because they, especially in this area, they don't actually hire people who are interested in games. They hire salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
So
the responsibility, how responsible is it for a gaming website to pick up a story like this and run with it?
oh, absolutely awful. But it may get some clicks, so they're going to do it.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Here's the thing: is I would not hold. And that's one of the questions why in our pre-show, Marty, I was asking. I was like, so did Nintendo actually say something here? Because I would not be holding much weight to this until I actually, there are credible sources. There are, and here, if you're a person who's working a game and you're like, this is horrible. I think there are great people who work there. I think they are well-intended. I think they're passionate about games, but I don't think it's necessarily the insider information. It's the equivalent of Amazon has put a placeholder on a game.
Or my uncle works at Nintendo.
December 31st, 2025.
It's that kind of thing. It's they have put a placeholder up on it and they have it in their book, so that's what they're going to go with.
So that they can take your money for a pre-order.
Correct. Yeah, typically, and then maybe they may be like, oh well, we're anticipating it's going to come out this time, right? I will say this is a great example. I mean, I gave them money for Yoshi's Crafted World almost 2 years ago when I arrived here, and they said, yeah, it's coming out in the next couple months. So there's an example. Okay, I was like, oh,
I wish that we had the Ghostbusters theme song queued up right now.
Ain't afraid no ghost.
Because that rumor just got busted.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, if it comes out, great. But I would not hold my breath.
Yeah. And also, speaking of sales, let's move on directly into probably what is.
Well,
besides
how about
Metroid
this?
Prime-
Instead of being busted, how about shot down?
Pow,
Yeah.
pow, 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 pow.
I like
There
it.
you go. I like it. This is probably our biggest news this week, besides the Metroid Prime 4 delay, and that is Nintendo's investor briefing and quarterly financial call, which is chock full of lots and lots of numbers that are pretty impressive, but also kind of tell the tale of the tape about where Nintendo is right now. So we'll dive right into this and talk about some of these. Financial results were released yesterday, and the investor briefing happened as we record this about 2 hours ago, and added in some different information as well. To date, Nintendo Switch has shipped 32.27 million units worldwide. Putting that in real-world numbers, that means 32,270,000 Nintendo Switches have been shipped. 14.49 million units of that 32 million were shipped from April of 2018 to December of 2018. So just at 8 months.
Right. So we talked about before, in the first 6 months of the fiscal year, they sold 5 million. So in the next 3 months, they had sold almost 10.
That's correct. That's correct. What even more impressive than that, I think, is that 9.4 million of these units were sold between October and December.
Which is what I just said.
And
I didn't even see that line item, but
that's cool. That's cool. We just said the same thing. We just said it 2 different ways.
Yeah.
So 9.4 million of these, that's a huge number. Almost 10 million units in 3 months. Software for the Switch has sold 163.1 million units total, 94.64 million of which were sold in the 3 months between October and December. Hey, Gary, did some games come out between October and December that were important?
Oh, the most important.
Remember.
The most important of important games, because we got both Pokemon and Smash Brothers, which is just to have those two back to back is just insane.
Yeah.
It's almost as insane as having a Zelda and a Mario in the same year.
Remember, the Smash sales are in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's 5 million. Super Mario Party to date has sold 5.3 million. Pokemon Let's Go has sold 10 million. That's combined Pikachu and Eevee editions. And guys, this next one is just bonkers. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has sold 12.08 million copies.
That's incredible.
It's like 6 weeks.
That's insane.
If you think about that, that's 2 million a week.
That's 1 in 3 people.
Well,
so that's
as far as I know, these numbers are up until end of December. Not into January yet. So these are all within the first 3 weeks.
So that's close to a 1.3 or a 1/3 attachment rate.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's huge. It is also, by the way, during the investor briefing, they mentioned that it is selling right now, outpacing all previous Smash titles, period.
Well, when you have an amazing roster like the Piranha Plant, why wouldn't it? You know what I mean?
I love the fact, speaking of my chompy boy, let me just say this. I love the fact that they totally dropped Piranha Plant on Kingdom Hearts release day.
Yes. And like everyone in the morning was like, wow,
it was just like
Kingdom Hearts. And then at the end of it, they're like, hey, Piranha Plant's a thing.
Yep. Yeah. Totally fine. A couple other numbers I wanted to talk about here as far as sales. Octopath Traveler sold over 1 million copies on Nintendo Switch, as did the Labo Variety Kit, which is now, I believe, at 1.06 million sold. There are now over 20 titles, or there are 20 titles on Switch that are certified million sellers.
And I think they said 7 of them are third party.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, it's really important that... Sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
I was going to say, this isn't like a Wii situation where third parties got eaten away. Third parties are prospering as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's really important that, we've seen Labo in this million seller list, because a lot of people dismiss Labo as a failure, yet it's sold 1 million, which is incredibly good. So...
Now, they did say it didn't sell as much as they wanted it to.
Yeah.
Or anticipated it to, but they also did support this in the investor briefing, that Labo is being used in 100+ elementary schools.
That's incredible.
Which is really, I think that's probably what they were aiming for, right?
I mean, it's, to be honest, for you guys who've played Labo properly, it is a learning thing. It's not a game. Mm-hmm. It's more of a learning and crafts thing than anything.
Yes.
And I think that the engineering skills that you could actually get from Labo are top notch for the age range that they're at. I mean, the only other thing that teaches kids especially, the same sort of skills is Minecraft.
Teach those ropes and pulleys.
Is Minecraft with all the pistons and redstone and circuitry and stuff like that. And these sort of things could make an impact in general later on, because Minecraft has made a huge impact, really. Kids understand engineering from a younger age. They understand electrics and solenoids and all that sort of stuff. So Labo, really, it could still have quite a bit of a future by selling 1 million.
I think that, we talked a few weeks ago about divvying up those kits and selling them for cheaper and making the software download only. There's lots of things Nintendo could do here with it. I just think that like it's a great idea, and it's the way it's been marketed was fine. I just don't think that they've like found that the gold mine yet. You know what I'm saying? Like they're close, but I don't think they found that one thing that's just like, yes, this is why Labo exists. If they wanted to lean more into that engineering part of it and more complicated things, I think that might even be it.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting.
But who knows?
I think, obviously we want to move on to some more of the other content there, but I think Labo is a low-cost experiment that allows for more generational usage of the Switch, right? And I think that, it's very interesting to see what ends up actually they end up doing long-term with it.
Mm-hmm. And I think, too, just in closing saying this, I think that Labo, these first 3 kits especially, just proved it's either really love it or hate it, right? I don't think there's much middle ground there. Like you've got kids and adults even who are just like, this is awesome, it's the best thing I've ever done. Or you've got people who are just like, it didn't really hold my attention, right? It'll be interesting to see if we get a Labo kit this year.
I suspect we will.
At least one.
Not Labo, but that little mini arcade thing I put together. It was fun to put together, but I'm not going to do anything with it. So I think if I bought a Labo kit, I think it'd be the same thing.
Right. Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about 3DS numbers. 3DS sold 2.6 million units over this last fiscal year. That is down 60.5% year on year from the previous. Right. 3DS software only sold 11.08 million units, which is down 64.5% year on year. And before you think that this is Marty's turn to rant on the 3DS again, I'm not. All I'm going to do is say this. Later on in the investor briefing, they did mention the 3DS, and this is what Shantaro Furukawa said. He said the 3DS market is shrinking faster than anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think they see it. I think they know it. Because of these numbers, I did want to mention this. Because of these numbers, Nintendo has revised forecasted sales for the Switch and for 3DS for this fiscal year. 3DS forecasted sales have been revised from 4 million units to 2.6 million units, which is what they sold.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really anticipate selling any more of them, which is telling. Nintendo has also revised the forecasted sales for the Switch from 20 million units this fiscal year to 17 million units, which they're already really close to. They only need to sell like 2.5 million more.
Right. Which is doable in 3 months.
It is doable, but another thing that I saw another site point out is that this time last year, in this same time frame, Nintendo sold 2.9 million units of the Switch. So why do they think they're going to sell less in this same time period when the momentum is clearly here?
Well, I think you traditionally
they were
look
just
at
kind of the point that that this person was making is that he thought they were lowballing it a little bit.
Well, you traditionally think of, your finances coming out of Q1 typically from any individual is going to be lessened, right? Because you have the financial bills and tightness after that. And so I think you'd see, spending traditionally in the first quarter of a year can be lessened. So I think Nintendo readjusting their projections based on kind of that content, I think, is important. Plus, you also think there's no game really in Q1 that would be the driver to really engage people, right? Where you have something like a Smash or a Pokemon would have been that thing to get people going, right? So I think that changes expectations and what's available.
Well, here we've got 163 million units sold in the last physical year for the Switch. Yet in the investor briefing, when asked why the Switch sales forecast was revised or or when they began to talk about that, they said, and this is an exact quote taken from that, software did not capture enough growth.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems to me pretty harsh, because obviously it did in October through December, right? 94 million pieces of software sold. I think that's interest, but I guess if they're looking at it from the business side of things, they have the projected model, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of it's got to sell this much to get us to this point, and they're seeing that that's not happened.
Yep.
A couple more numbers I wanted to mention from here. NES Classic and SNES Classic sold 5.83 million units combined last year. So having them in stores and having them available actually helped Nintendo in a way there.
Go figure.
Digital. I'm sorry?
Go figure.
Yeah, right. I mean,
hard,
if you can actually
if
buy
it's not
them,
on a
people will
shelf,
do it.
it's hard to buy it.
Yeah. Digital software sales on Switch were up 95.1% from the year before. And smart device revenue, which we don't talk a lot about mobile here other than Pokemon Go. Smart device revenue increased 14% and was 33.3 billion yen.
Nice.
That's
Nothing
a lot
wrong
of
with
money.
that.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot. It's a lot of money when you think of what did they actually put out,
Dragalia lost.
right?
We haven't
Like
got that
that's-
still.
Yeah, Fire Emblem is still a big moneymaker.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Dragalia Lost is a very limited region, right? I think it's only U.S. and Japan, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Canada, I don't believe. Canada doesn't have it. I know Europe doesn't either.
Converting
I'm
that to yen, from yen to dollars, that's about just under $306 million.
I've actually got a little bit of a theory on the Dragalia Lost thing. I think it might be struggling to get into the European market because we're often seen, especially by Nintendo, as one market, even though we're a lot of countries. And certain countries in the EU have got laws against basically gambling.
Mhm.
And that includes stuff like loot boxes and random item generators on mobile games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tricky to bring a mobile game to some of those European countries, and I think that's why we haven't seen it yet. They're probably trying to strike a balance.
I mean,
I think
Belgium just outlawed FIFA bucks, right?
Correct.
Well,
I think it's all because of
they have for a while. EA were intentionally continuing to sell it despite that law until recently. Then they finally caved.
Oh, okay. I saw a news article about it this week about them no longer selling that. So
Yeah, that's been a thing for a while.
as for, I'm sorry, Justin.
I was gonna say I think it's all because of Brexit. Moving on.
Well, actually, before we move on, we're going to back up a little bit. Someone asked in the chat, Chris Gentilio asks, which Switch games are shipping in the next 2 months?
That's exactly the point, Chris.
The answers are Fire Emblem Three Houses, maybe. That's marked as
There's
spring.
no confirmation.
Yeah, all I have is spring, so that could be pushed. We
I
have
did see that
Yoshi's Crafted World, end of March, and then after that, Final
Kirby's
Fantasy.
Extra Epic Yarn, March 9th for 3DS.
Yeah, well, I wasn't counting that because we're talking about Switch only here. But Final Fantasy X, mid-April, Mortal Kombat 11, a week later.
End of April. Yeah. I think that we could possibly see Fire Emblem come into that end of April slot, 1st of May. You know, Nintendo did take some time this week to reiterate launch windows for certain games, and Fire Emblem Three Houses was one of those, and they again reiterated spring 2019 as that. Which you got to remember that spring to them is Q2, right?
Yeah, it
So
goes into
that's-
June. It
That's
could go into
April,
June.
May, June.
If I was a betting man, and if you want to check our Justin predicts, I predict that is going to be a May game, potentially early May.
It could be. It could be, and you're saying Animal Crossing later, much later. Maybe summer, July, like the Splatoon 2 slot.
And I think the 3DS game, was an April game too. So
I don't Animal
Could be.
Crossing. The problem is, I think them pulling Metroid Prime has changed the calendar. And I also, just as a side note, I believe this is also why we didn't get a direct.
Absolutely.
I believe they were not fully understanding what they wanted to do yet, and they hadn't made that decision, so they weren't going to communicate. That's why we've got piecemealed communication the way we have. I think this has thrown a lot of things off, and I think they're probably standing back and saying, and this is why we haven't had a communication about what's coming out in the next 6 months, because they have to slot things around, and they're readjusting. So it may have opened up a gap. So I don't know. I digress, but
so this is the what was it that missed the release window when Mario Tennis Ultra Smash ended up that late November game? Was that Star Fox Zero?
Yeah, I think so.
I believe it was Star Fox Zero because it got delayed right there, right close to its release, right. And we got Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. All I can hope is this: is that there's not another game that, because Metroid Prime slid out here of 2019, that they're now rushing to complete and they're going to give it to us halfway. Because I know that Switch has momentum, but any of the games that they've announced for this year that are big name titles, they can't afford to do that. At least I don't think.
It's you know, you can't just fill gaps in. I don't think unless Nintendo needs to get some more third-party games, like big ones, announced for this year as well. And
it's got to be more than Final Fantasy.
Relief, yeah, because at the minute we're only really hearing first-party games and the Final Fantasy remakes. So
and to speak to Justin's point, I think there's games that are ready to go. I think they're re-editing a direct.
Yeah,
I think they're reassembling a direct, because I would be willing to bet that they had planned Metroid Prime is going to be the focus of this direct.
The other thing about the direct thing is, I know a lot of people are upset, but gaming news is its slowest. Podcast numbers and YouTube views and everything across the board are always down in January. So, you know, why realistically, from a company's point of view, Nintendo actually make a bad decision to release directs in January?
Well, what Nintendo traditionally does, and I think more than anything else, Gary, with the directs, and I know people are like, why do they just spend a lot of the podcast talking about directs? Is for a company like Nintendo, it provides a roadmap that I think that they do a very good job at selling. And what they do is they stay that roadmap fairly true to form, right? Yeah. They use January up to June as this is the roadmap you're going to get. We're going to continue to get you updated. We're going to continue to get you hyped. And Nintendo does this better than everyone else. To your point, Sony will come out and say, we have Death Stranding in 2023. Get hyped. And you're like, no, that's too far. Right? But Nintendo, because they create micro windows of allowing us back into understand that scope, it allows for the hype cycle to be more tangible. And I think it actually, I would almost argue, I wonder if it actually helps create sales more, because they're micro hype cycles, right? I'm going to run you from January to March. I'm going to get you hyped with this game, and that's it. We're going to drop it off. We're going to maybe do an update later on something, another. Here's a new board. Here's a new character, whatever it is, and then we're going to do it again. And allowing for small micro hype cycles also allows us to manage expectations properly, right? You think of something like Kingdom's Hearts, which has been in development forever and a day. You all of a sudden get to a point where can the hype, because of the delay, because of how long it is, how many times you've talked about it, shown it, outlive its actual value? So
yes, because as someone who is a Kingdom Hearts fan and is playing Kingdom Hearts 3 right now, I'm having to make myself play it. Because when I finished Kingdom Hearts 2 back in, let's do some math here, 2003? No, 2006? Yeah, 2006. I was ready for more then. And 13 years later,
yeah.
Like, and a part of it is the convoluted story, but part of it too is exactly what you're saying.
No.
You know, and Justin, to your point, I want to mention this, that Nintendo has gotten us trained for the directs, you know, at certain times, so much so that now at the point we are, Nintendo has had to come out and officially make a statement today saying, yes, we're still going to do directs.
Oh, really?
Because so many people are talking about where is the direct, where, you know, like they've kind of come out and said, yes, we're still committed to the direct as the way that we're going to commit to share information with you.
I mean,
yes, like, it is kind of the acknowledgement of, yes, we know there hasn't been one, but like, we don't have anything to tell you.
I want you to think about this. You literally have a group of people who are so excited. We are part of that. We are Nintendo pundits. We are whatever you want to call us, right? We are idiots who sit in front of a computer screen, talk to microphones, pretend like we know anything. But you literally have a group of people who are basically saying, I want a company to actively promote to me their products so that I am aware of them, so that I can get excited and share them and and hype about it. Like, what industry, what other companies can you think that do that have trained their fellowship, their supporters, whatever it is you want to call it, so much that they can that's the case? Could you imagine, like, someone's like, you know who I haven't heard from recently?
The only other company I can think of.
Apple, yeah. Could you imagine someone's like, you know who I haven't heard from recently? McDonald's. I would love a McDonald's commercial right now to tell me about the burgers that they're selling there. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, that's an amazing thing. And I think if any company has that type of fan base to be able to say, tell us more, we want to give you our money for things, it's incredible, right? So, you know, I see people in the chat here laying down some more Lord business talk. I apologize for that, folks. But I do think it's a little bit of trying to keep us in scope of where we are.
I'm glad that you're able to do that, because that's honestly a realm that I don't know anything about. But we need to
Tim's
see
right.
that
Marvel
side
might
of
be
it,
another option.
like, honestly, we forget, I think sometimes, Nintendo is not just some like joy machine, you know, that delivers everything we want. They're a business.
Yeah.
I think you reminded us very well of that the other week when you Lord businessed out about the 3DS.
Sure.
And that's okay. And speaking of business, let's talk about a little bit more of these numbers before we move on into something else, okay? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is now the highest selling game on Nintendo Switch at 15.02 million sold. If you combine Switch and Wii U sales for Mario Kart 8, those now sit at 23 million total.
So there has been more Mario Kart 8 Deluxes sold than Wii U's.
Yes.
Oh.
Yep. That's exactly right.
That hurts to think about.
Mm-hmm. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold more in software than Wii U sold in hardware. But that's not all the Mario Kart 8 news that was given out. Mario Kart Tour, which was announced, I guess, was it this time last year?
Probably. It was close.
Close, yeah.
Has now been delayed until summer of 2019. So this is the second delay that we have seen Nintendo have to deal with in as many weeks. And basically the reasoning is, hey, we're going to delay this because it's not ready.
Sorry, this is the mobile game, correct?
It is it's the mobile Mario Kart.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, right? So they've delayed that. Now, they also did another mobile announcement today.
Right.
Recently, Dr. Mario Mobile. I woke up this morning. I saw that. My wife is still sleeping. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. I just about shook her to say, you need to wake up and be aware of this, because now you can beat Marty mobily.
Oh, you mean you're not going to play her?
Oh, maybe. Nonetheless, I think this is interesting, right? That they have shifted those two things to there. I wonder, and I believe they also said the delay was for additional content. Am I remember, or I think did I read that wrong?
It was basically saying a tune-up under the hood.
Yeah, some nice car analogies for you folks.
To be honest with you, I think it's probably a little bit of content. I think it's probably a little bit of figuring out how it's all going to work, right?
They're trying to figure out how to monetize it better.
Cool.
Without using
33.3 million. Let's turn that into 66.6, right?
Yeah, well, they have to find a way to monetize it without using gacha tactics.
Yeah,
sure. So it can get into those other regions, like Gary said, that are maybe a little more hesitant. Honestly, I would not be opposed to paying for Mario Kart Mobile if it was reasonable and there was plenty of content like Mario Run. I was not upset with paying for Mario Run. It was well done. I know that people crapped all over it because I just think it was poorly
Nintendo made
implemented
that
in the
crystal
beginning.
clear that was the case, but people,
Right.
still crapped all over it.
No, and that's the thing. Nintendo learn from the Metroid Prime 4 video and just be upfront and crystal clear from the beginning. Just say it costs $9.99. Done. Great. That's fantastic. I will take it. I will buy it. No questions asked. It's Mario Kart. It's Nintendo. Of course I'm going to play it. It's $10 Mario Kart.
Well,
What's to argue?
Again, I do think we see how much Mario Kart sells. Nintendo knows this, right? So how do they, and again, marketing and money, how do we make more money? How do we do this best? How do we integrate it properly? And then I think it's delayed. I wonder if it's delayed because there is a Mario Kart 9 in the works or whatever it is, and there's some kind of level of integration. I don't know.
I just wonder if
that's a little bit of wishful thinking, I'm sure.
It may be, but I wonder if it's pressure.
Because
I wonder if it's, holy crap, Mario Kart 8 is still selling this much, however many years after launch. The pressure is on. We can't screw this up.
Well, and then the other thing I would wonder potentially could also be like when we talked about like Animal Crossing Mobile, it filled a gap that wasn't there. And maybe that's a little bit your conversation here, Marty, is because of the fact that Mario Kart is still selling well, right? People are still super engaged with it. You don't need to have a reminder about how awesome it is, right? You don't need to kind of bring people back to that. You don't need to bring people back to that IP. Or Animal Crossing, because it had been so quiet for so long, let's put it on a mobile device. Let's get people remembering it, and then we can reintroduce it to the Switch, right? And because they did say their mobile offering was all about bringing people to the new platform, reintroducing or reminding people about IPs that ultimately would end in sales of a system, right? So because your sales of something like a Mario Kart are so high and so prevalent, maybe it's kind of like, well, we don't really need to do that. Right, like people are already buying it. We don't, we don't need to bring the horse to water. The horse already drinking. So do we need to alter our course on this?
Right.
Again, just some speculation about maybe what the mentality there may be.
Yeah.
I like to guess, but I do think it's interesting. In 2019, we're going to get two offerings: Dr. Mario and Mario Kart. Interestingly enough, I saw a pie graph during the investors call that I think mobile was only making up like 4% of their sales. 2%, was it 2? Okay.
2%, which is huge still. And if you remember, Justin and others and listeners, there's a Zelda mobile app out there floating somewhere. They talked about that. Remember, they specifically mentioned Legend of Zelda.
Yeah,
and it's still out there, and I highly doubt 2019 release on that because they've said nothing.
A graph I'd be interested to see, and they probably would never show it, not even to the investors, because investors are more interested in the revenue They know that they bleed money coming out the R&D side, but instead of 2% of revenue coming in, I'd like to know how much profit that is in a mobile space versus, say, a Mario Kart 8 space.
I do want to say I like this commentary here by Josh Thomas from the BitBlock. He says, "Here's how you do Mario Kart on mobile. You have someone put a quote in, so just moved it. You have a monthly cup, 4 tracks per month. We can play. It's totally free. You only start off as Toad. Use coins to buy characters and vehicle parts." I really like
down
that.
with that.
That's great.
They're not going to lead with Toad. I'm sorry.
As long as all the purchases are specific in what you get instead of being randomized, then that gets past the gambling laws in Europe.
Yeah. Josh, and I'm going to ask Josh because he's in the chat right now if he could. Josh, do you think that's a free game or do you think it's like a 99-cent game to start off with? Just curious. Let me know in the chat.
There's a game I've been sinking a lot of while we're waiting on him to reply. There's a game I've been sinking a lot of time into. I'm sure it came out to coincide with the Bumblebee Transformers movie release, but it's literally called Bumblebee, where you play this top-down shooting type game where for part of the level you transform and you drive, and then the other half you transform back into a robot and you run through this very rudimentary, like Decepticon base, shooting and trying to survive. And basically, it's a free runner. It's how long can you survive, right? Till you beat the boss and move up, and you get coins. And when you use those coins, you can buy additional Autobots. So you're not always Bumblebee. You know, you can eventually work up and become Optimus Prime. And
so it
the
plays
game
the
is
same,
free.
so it's just skins.
The game is free. Well, no, they have more power, and it is skins, but I mean, there's upgradable.
Okay.
Like there's more power, but you can upgrade your characters as well. Of course, Bumblebee will never even upgrade is not as powerful as Prime. But all that to say, it's a free game that uses this model, which he's just talked about, which is you earn in-game currency by playing the game, and you purchase parts and upgrades to eventually unlock the character you want. It's a grind, but you have to do it. The question is, are Mario Kart fans, which I would say are probably more casual gamers in the greater sphere of things, are they going to go for the grind to be able to get their favorite character in Mario Kart or their favorite kart?
And also, a number that will. The question is that the majority or not?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is that going to appeal to the majority if you've got to grind for it? I don't know.
Whew, lots to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple more of these investor meeting tidbits, and then we'll move on. A lot of core first-party titles have passed 10 million sold each. That would be Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Smash Brothers, Pokemon. There's several of what Nintendo identifies as core titles now that have passed that 10 million mark, which is huge for each of those. Nintendo Switch Online has 8 million accounts as of this briefing, which, is about a fourth of Nintendo Switch owners, which doesn't sound like that much until you realize that if all of them bought in for a year, that's $160 million. $160 million, which is really, I guess, almost pure profit. However, Nintendo's president also mentioned that online contents will be enhanced throughout the year because retention is critical. And we could sit here and go round and round on the merry-go-round of what content needs to be enhanced. I'm just hoping that this means, more games, SNES games coming to the mix, more stable servers, different things like that.
Yeah, I suspect. We've seen the leaks for the SNES stuff, right? It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. I do think stabilization issues. I think, not a huge shock. I'm glad to see them saying we're going to invest money into that, or we need to do things to do that to retain them, because they are correct. But I also think that also goes down to your online games that you offer. Right? Like if I want to play Smash Brothers, I have to have that online account. If I want to play Mario Kart, I have to have that online account. So you as much as they're saying we have to continue to do that, you do have your customers in a bit of a rock and a hard spot where if those are things that are important to us, right? We think of here in our community, you were doing some pre-gaming Let's Plays with the community, which we've been doing for the last several months now or weeks. That only happens because we have an online access, right? Yeah. So if all of a sudden that's taken away from us, or we decide not to pay because, hey, it's not there, you fundamentally lose stuff, right? And again, I know we can debate, and Gary, we've talked about this before, the cost of it. Yes, in the value of it, it is $20. It's minimal. It's not a huge amount, but Nintendo does need to bolster that in 2019, and they need to be doing more to strengthen the argument for why it's there. And I don't think they're doing that well right now. So yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, a couple more tidbits, and we'll move on. Switch's aim. Nintendo says, this is in their investor briefing, the aim was one per household. The aim now is one per person or several per household.
Which is what I said from the start.
Nintendo of Japan is already pushing for this in that they sell the Switch without the dock and without all the extras. They just sell the tablet and the two Joy-Cons. Interestingly enough, and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong because I just actually have not heard it very much. The Japanese news service Nikkei, or Nikkei, or I don't know how you say it, reporting today, reports rumors that Nintendo will launch a smaller version of the Switch this year that developers and retailers have already been made aware of and have begun to work into their plans. They've already been brought into the loop on this. So my question is this, and because I think this is a huge tidbit, I think. Is this a where there's smoke, there's fire? Are they alluding to this? Because obviously a smaller Switch, the Switch Lite, the Switch Portable or whatever would be cheaper, would be easier to get into people's hands, more cost effective. Of course, probably not going to come with a dock. I don't even know if it would have the ability to dock. What are your thoughts?
So I'm going to put on the business hat again here, folks. Sorry for this. But here's my thoughts on that. Where there's smoke, there is fire. You mentioned 30 minutes ago, Nintendo reducing their sales projections for the 3DS, right? I think they're surprised about, and their kind of commentary about, they're surprised about how quickly or how much sales is now driven to the Switch, right? I think before we've always talked about the 3DS eventually dying. I think what this is doing, or what Nintendo has discovered, is that they can expedite or speed up that process. And this is an example of them trying to speed up that process, right? Where they could say, you know, we are going to decrease our projections for the 3DS, and we're going to upscale or upsell our idea of a Nintendo Switch Lite. So, and I think that the modeling of, we envision people having one per household, is the vision of what the 3DS is, right? Where, you know, I look at my house, I've got kids, they each have their own DS or 3DS, right? So I think that's aligning more with what their objective is, and I think to be able to do that, they have to do a light versioning of it. So,
you know, my daughter has started to ask for a Switch, and we have been debating on the idea of getting her one. And so the idea of this is appealing. The idea of it possibly not being able to dock with a television is not appealing.
Well, I mean,
because of the games that she likes to play and the games that she wants for the Switch.
Yeah,
I mean, she's asking for one so she can play Just Dance.
I think we're speculating of a thing that we have no idea about.
Oh no,
do you know what I mean? So it's like my daughter's upset about a thing that doesn't exist in any context, and I don't know the details about, is a bit maddening, right? So I think it does. I would be shocked if the quote unquote Switch Lite does not have some docking functionality. Because I think
it even just has a smaller dock.
Well, I don't even think it's that. I think it's to be able to make something like that more universal and to be acceptable is very much the process that Japan's doing, right? Where you sell it without the dock. Sell it without the dock, and you already drop the cost by almost $100, right?
Sure.
What's, you know, the current price? So in the U.S., correct me if I'm wrong, maybe about $200. Is that right? What's the price of a Switch in the U.S. right now?
$299.
$299. Yeah, so take out the dock.
If you take out the dock, you get it closer to $200.
What's the price of a 3DS?
$179 or $149?
Well, for the new XL, it's $200.
So hold on a second. You take a Switch, you take the dock out, it's $200. A new 3DS is $200. You tell me what they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Right. That's what they're going to do, and
it makes a lot of sense.
They're unbundling it. That's a very minimal thing they have to do. Right? Like, think about it from a marketing perspective. How do we get the Switch Lite onto the market? Hey, here's an idea. Take the dock out of the box. We're done.
Take the dock out and take the Joy-Con grip out of the box.
Yes. And you're done.
And you've saved $100.
Correct. You're done, and now you're able to market that.
Yeah. And what do you call it? The Switch Core Patch?
No, you call it Switch on the Go. I don't care what the hell you call it, right? And then all of a sudden you say, hey, and then now what you're doing also, interestingly enough, is your unbundled sales now becomes docks at the house, right? So, you know, Marty, you've said this before, you own like 3 docks, right?
I have 2.
So you unbundle that, and now you're all of a sudden getting people easily able to purchase, you know, extra docks for their TVs around the house. Hey, we just got the kids two Switches each for their Christmas or birthday. And by the way, we just bought a Switch dock that we're going to put over here on the spare TV so they can drop whenever they want. Tim just kept us honest. He said new 2DS XL is $150 in the US. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking of when I said $149.
Joy-Cons are $70. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, you take out the Switch grip and the dock, and you've probably brought that just under $200.
Tricky.
Oh, wow.
Well, we found the hidden Mickey. We got it.
What are you doing?
Sorry. I opened up a GameStop website to search for something, and they auto played, and it was loud in my head.
Yeah.
You go Switch. I like that. You go Switch.
You go Switch. Yeah. Except now it sounds like a car. One last thing from the investor briefing that I do want to hit on, because this is pretty big news. Nintendo World Japan, Nintendo World at Universal Studios of Japan will open in 2020 in time for the Olympics, which is pretty huge. They also said that the U.S. will follow after that, including then London, then some other places. And the Illumination Super Mario movie is still moving forward and is aiming for a 2022 release date. So that's going to be a while, but Super Nintendo World is close. So that's pretty cool. It'll be interesting to see photos of that when it launches in Japan. Let's move on to a couple of other little tiny news bits. There's been a huge number of updates to Nintendo Switch titles this week. We won't bore you with the details, but chances are you've noticed that Splatoon 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Mario Tennis Aces have now been updated in various ways. Splatoon is just basically stability and getting ready for what's next. It was also announced this week that Splatoon 2 will receive a demo in Japan and will receive 10 new weapons, and they will support Splatfest through July 2019. Mario Tennis Aces was updated, Boom Boom was included, and then Smash Brothers updated and Piranha Plant came out, all to coincide with the Nintendo Switch updating to 7.0.0. If you haven't done all those updates, go check. They're there. Speaking of Smash, this week there was an Ultimate Amiibo leak to coincide with the release of the Super Smash Bros. Special Japanese Guide. Slots included product shots of Pokemon Trainer and Snake Amiibo as they would be produced, as well as including slots for Dark Samus, Chrom, Simon Belmont, Richter Belmont, and Ivysaur and Squirtle, who will apparently be getting their own Amiibo as well to go along with the Charizard Amiibo that's already available.
Yeah. The leak here is the fact that they actually showed what those two of them looked like,
yes.
And we knew these were coming. So that itself,
and Ken's in there too. I mean, there's, we know that every Smash Brothers character is going to get.
I can't wait to get Joker.
Anyway, speaking about other news, I'm going to go about Pokemon Go. More Gen 4 evolutions are coming to Pokemon Go via the Sinnoh Stone. They went live today, and we mean today as of this recording. And just because Jesse likes this so much, I'm going to read all these Pokemon names so that you can hear about all these. Lickitung can be upgraded to Licklicky. Oh my gosh, they paid somebody to make that name up. Tangela can be upgraded to Tangrowth, Apom to Ambipom, Yanma to Yanmega, Kirlia to Gallade, Snorunt to Frostlass, and remaining evolutions that do not exist or are yet unknown are Mangeton to Magnezone. Is that supposed to be Magneton?
Magneton, like magnet.
Yeah. Magneton to Magnezone, Eevee to Leafeon and Glaceon, Piloswine to Mamoswine, which will be live on February 16th at Community Day, and Nosepass to Probopass. Water Dragon type Palkia is now the Tier 5 raid target until February 28th. And with that is our news for the week. Let's move into what we've been playing. Justin Masson, what you been playing?
So I have a problem.
Uh-oh.
Again or still?
I fell hard into Fortnite over last week. And when I say I fell hard into Fortnite, I mean I have literally completed all the week's challenges.
Okay.
Which I don't try and do. I just kind of do like, hey, I'll play here and there, and these are kind of hard, and blah, 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 and I'll get enough V-Bucks to, make sure I pay for my pass for next time. No, I've literally completed every single challenge. And the new challenge that already opened up this week, I'm already halfway through that. Did I get the sleigh in the ice mode? I'm going to say this right now. I was 3 golden zombies away from that sleigh, and I ran out of time. So that's frustrating, but I completed every other one of those tasks. So I don't know why. It's not like I'm finding this Fortnite season incredibly compelling more than any other season, but I all of a sudden realized I had completed a bunch and just kind of kept going deep into it. So I've been playing Fortnite. The other thing I have been playing, Jesse, is
What?
Y2K, a postmodern RPG. And you're all saying, whoa, Justin, shut up. You don't play RPGs. That's Jesse's bag. Don't be trotting on his spot. I would say this. I have been enjoying it. I'm not super far into it. I've got a little bit more in. Just time's been a little bit tight here with my Fortnite addiction, but I have had an opportunity to jump in and play it more, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it's some fantastic. One of the things I really like about it, I don't think Jesse mentioned much on this part of it, was really great. I love the fact that it's voice acted. Voice acting isn't necessarily fantastic, but I like the fact the voice acting is there. I find the characters compelling. I find the story very interesting. The kind of conspiracy theory thing has grabbed me.
The main character is voiced by Kerbifer or Chris Niosi.
Oh, okay.
Remember when I talked about like the Tome web series like a few years ago?
Yeah.
He was the guy who created that.
Oh, okay. And I find the characters compelling. I find the fight mechanic kind of interesting. It's got very kind of like at times an Earthbound vibe. So I find it very interesting. So I'm kind of keep going back to it. I know, again, it's not usually part of my remit for games that I play, but I have been enjoying it. Those are kind of the big ones that I've been playing. Oh, and there has been recently information that Overcooked 2 is getting another update very soon. So my wife and I are continuing to work our way through Overcooked in that we are now getting the 4-star challenges, and we're beating 4-star challenges. So we actually have a friend who's inviting us over to their house tonight, and they have Overcooked, and they're having difficulty finishing levels. So we're gonna play as 2 couples and help them finish it.
You're gonna show them how to do it.
Exactly, and we play Overcooked with the kids at night too because they absolutely love it. So those are games that I've been playing.
Hey, can I just cut in here because I noticed a little bit of news update that we missed earlier. We were talking about Dragalia Lost, and during their call or their investor briefing tonight, they said that Dragalia Lost will also be newly released in English-speaking countries like Canada, the UK, and Australia.
Oh,
so it's coming. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that out there because that would have been an actually, and we can head that off at the pass. Gary, what have you been playing this week?
Oh, so much, so many games. But normally only little bits of games. So I 2 weeks ago was the last time I was on the podcast, and I said I'd be back next week with my Travis Strikes Again impressions. I missed that, so I'll talk about it this week a little bit. There is a full review on the Nintendo Dad's YouTube channel, so I'm just going to quickly touch on it. But you had Tim Wolf on last episode, and he said he really enjoyed it. I am the complete opposite. I didn't enjoy it half as much as he did. I don't think there's anything necessarily completely wrong with the game, but I also don't think it does anything good. I really struggled to get through it. I completed it in its entirety before I reviewed it, and I enjoyed my time with it for the first 10 minutes of every play session, but then the levels go on for an hour long, and by the time you've got to 20 minutes, they've overstayed their welcome. By the time you got to the hour point, you're ready to turn it off. And then you're greeted with probably 50 minutes to half an hour of just green text as the story with no cutscenes. So I really felt that it was incredibly uninspired and quite lackluster. Also, with the DLC notes, it looks like the game's kind of unfinished, which I don't think is an unfair comment. But its core gameplay is actually really good. Playing it 2-player with a single Joy-Con before mine packed in was really good as well. It just needed a little bit more work, a little bit more love, and a bit more of a mix-up. But yeah, we'll come back and re-review it after all the DLCs drop because it sounds like it potentially could be quite a bit of a different game. Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
Sorry, some kind of breaking news that just came out on Twitter. Nintendo says it's preparing at least one unannounced title for the Switch in fiscal year 2019 that fans would be delighted to know.
Waluigi's Taco Stand.
All they have right now.
It's coming.
Sorry.
Or it's a Mother 3 remake.
That could be.
Or
I mean, yeah,
a port of the Tingle games for Switch.
Yes, I actually own those. One of those, Jesse. I own freshly picked Tingles Rosy Rupee Land.
Just throwing this out here, guys. Y'all know it's a Wii U port.
Awful
I mean, it's got to be Super Mario 3D Land or Super Mario 3D
Mario
Land.
Maker.
It
TFE?
could be Mario Maker.
Star Fox Zero with all its motion controls.
Shh! Don't give them ideas.
Other than that, I've been playing Inops, which again is a Let's Play on the YouTube channel. It's a neat little puzzle game. Really good in handheld mode, so if you're looking for a game with a bit of touchscreen, then that's the one. Heroes Trials. Yeah, we won't say too much about that. I didn't like it too much. It was like a kind of Zelda clone that's heavily timed. Like everything is timed. Like get to this village in this time, then do this in this time, and do that in this time. So I've got to play it a bit more, but first impressions aren't so good at that one. Future Grind, which we'll have a Let's Play soon. That's a neat little puzzle game where it's basically a set of rails floating, and you're a bike with two different coloured wheels, and you have to sort of grind between the two rails, but make sure you got the right wheel on the right rail. Kind of got a little bit addicted to that last night, so that's looking promising. But the game I've been really addicted to, and this one I've sunk hours into, is Project High Rise, the Architect Edition, which is such a good management sim game. Like as you guys probably already know, I'm into my management games. I reviewed Roller Coaster Tycoon, which was also not great, but this is really good. This and City Skylines. If you're after two really good management games on the Switch, then these are the two to go for. Project High Rise is basically you've got a I was going to say flats, but I suppose you guys use a different apartment building. That would be the one. Apartment building / office space, and you have to build it up, extend it up, down, left, right, all sorts, and then you have to accommodate everybody in there, make sure it's got the power, make sure it's got gas, satellite TV, all that sort of stuff. Just really, really good game. Really enjoy it. And I've just started playing a game which the embargo lifts. It's lifted here. I'm not sure about America, which we'll talk about next week, which is Dragons. Dawn of New Riders, which coincides with the new How to Train Your Dragon film. So that could be one for the kids. So parents, listen next week. I'll have some good impressions of that one.
Awesome.
That was a lot of games.
No, and you didn't even talk about the one that I really wanted you to talk about.
Oh. Okay. I know what you're referring to.
Please.
I brought a little game this week from a developer who I have a lot of respect for. However, I did miss this game because I didn't think it looked too good. So the game went into sale, and I looked at some reviews, and some reviews that I respect, by the way, as well. And they gave it 8 out of 10s and stuff like that. So I thought, you know what? For less than £2, this game, I think it was less than £2 anyway, less than £3, a cup of coffee, basically. I'm going to buy this game and see what it's like. I cannot stand soccer slammers. I really don't like this game in the slightest. I am not a soccer fan in general, but I really do like the game. So I think FIFA is really good. There's just so much wrong with it that I can't praise it or give it any sort of recommendation. But the other two games that are on sale, like Mutant Mudds for $2, less than $2 was it? Is the biggest bargain that you will ever get anywhere ever. That and Zero Drifter, well worth it. Soccer Slammers, I'm really highly disappointed in. I did not like it at all.
Zero Drifter was one of my favorite games for the 3DS.
Oh yeah, it's such a good game, and it's really short, like Metroid game, and like I said, really short but really really fun. And trivia here for Zero Drifter, some of the music is done by Brian Altano of IGN.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So really,
also-
really cool little tidbit there, and definitely like if you want a 2D Metroid on the Switch, Axiom Verge or Zeo Drifter is as close as you're going to get right now.
Yeah, and Zeo Drifter and Mutant Mudds have probably two of the greatest HD rumble features in any games. In terms of platformers, anyway. The HD rumble on them is really good. Like, especially Zeo Drifter, there's sections where you can go underwater in like a submarine, and you can actually feel the water sloshing around. It's a really cool little feature in there.
That's cool.
So, I really want to know what Jesse's been playing.
I do too.
Okay, well, before I do that, I wanted to mention Ebusil in chat replying to Justin about his Flash announcement. He goes, is a Star Fox Racing or a Fortune Street game? I told him I would buy a Fortune Street game, if you even know what that is. No comment?
I know what Fortune Street is, and that is not my type of game.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that one.
That is the type of game where you find out that Yoshi cheats on his taxes, though.
Okay, so really, I haven't had a chance to play Y2K this week. I just, I need to have an hour or so to get back into it. I just never have that much time in a stretch. So the type of game that does fit into the little pockets of time I do have are the puzzle games. And I talked about the demo of Pixel Color last week, and we got an advance. The game came out today. We did get an advance copy that, so I played some yesterday and did some recording for a video that went out this morning of like the first 20 puzzles or so. And it's what the demo is. So if you play the demo and you like it, you'll probably like this. It's similar to your traditional Picross, but instead of choosing between coloring in the block or not, everything's colored, but it could be one of several colors. And the way they give you the clues is a little bit different than normal. Instead of, like, if you have a red, yellow, red, instead of it giving you, a red one, a yellow one, red one, it'll just say there are 2 reds and a yellow. And then it's up to you to figure out where they land. If the number is circled, that means all of them are in a bundle. If the number is not in a circle, then it means there's at least one gap between the set. So if it's like a 3 that's not circled, you can be all 3 of them independently, or it could be a group of 2 and a 1, or it's not a group of 3. So if that's pretty much everything. And when in the full game, I think there are 6 different colors. Each color is a set of 50 puzzles, increasing in difficulty as you go. And they do lock the higher levels behind solving the smaller levels first. Like in my puzzle, I wanted to do one of the big ones, or in my video this morning, I wanted to do one of the bigger puzzles so I could help walk through the logic and hopefully people understand how this game works. But I was stuck with the 5x5s and the 5x10s. So, to me, they're not all that interesting to play because I can solve them in under a minute, and they're probably not very exciting to watch. But so if you want to check the game out, I have the video out there. There's a demo, free to try. And that's really all I've been playing.
Awesome. This week I've been playing Zelda 2 still. I got frustrated with it in the first part of the week. I'm like, it's the only Zelda game that I feel like you make progress in and you don't get any more powerful, right? Like I've leveled up. I've done pretty well. I'm in the 3rd temple and I just can't do it. Like I get to the end boss. It's the end boss is the one that's the iron knuckle riding the armored steed, and you have to knock him off the steed first, and then you have to fight the iron knuckle. If there is a harder enemy in NES games than iron knuckle, I don't know what it is.
Oh, they get harder.
It's the most unpredictable thing that I've ever fought. I cannot do it. Like I just try to power through them and get past them as quick as possible.
Later on in Zelda 2, you will fight creatures that are more rough than the blue knuckles.
The blue iron knuckle that throws the knives is just it makes me want to vomit. I cannot. Ugh.
You have to be really good and fast with the up shield and down shield to block them as you try to approach it, and then get a stab in and then back off again.
It's just I'm never going to beat it. It's becoming, the more I play it, the more convinced I am it's not going to happen.
Can I make just a quick suggestion to you, Marty?
Yeah.
Buy Dark Souls, stream it, and could get good. Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's the one Zelda game that's always had my number. Like I don't know. Like I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to play through it the right way. I'm doing a guide and I'm finding things I need to find. It's just I need the ability to have like a potion or something that I can take with me. The life spell's great and everything, but like what if I run out of magic, right? It's not great. Also this week I finished World of Light in Smash Brothers, 100%ed it. So I was pretty proud of that. I was a lot behind several people. I feel like it delivered really well on what the promises it made. I mean, they said up front there's not going to be that much of a story. There wasn't. I got to the end and I watched the ending cinematic and I was like, I'm confused. Okay, great. And then came out and had missed one spirit. And so I had to run through the entire map and find that one spirit and pick it up. And then you get to the end, and if there's 3 possible endings you can get, there's 2 bad endings and a true ending. And I actually got the true ending on the first playthrough, and you have to go back and you have to finish both bad endings to actually get 100%. So now all that's left is for me to work through classic mode with about 10 more characters, and then I'll just be playing online and spirit boarding it for a while. Which, by the way, the next Smash Spirit Board event is all Mega Man. I'm super excited about that.
Nice.
Starts today as you're listening to this. So go get you some Mega Man spirits. But I've also been playing Kingdom Hearts 3, and I won't talk about that too much. I just said earlier in the show that I'm kind of having to force myself to play it. I don't know that force myself to play it would be maybe the right way to say it. It's just the excitement's not there. I mean, I'm sure it's a good game, but like I'm playing it, I'm like, okay, it's Kingdom Hearts.
So have you played the other side games, or have you only played 1 and 2?
I cannot. I played 1 and 2, and I can't play Kingdom Hearts, Dream Drop Distance, Birth by Sleep, 33 and 4 billionth days.
I'm wondering, I know there's all of those games are canonical and fit somewhere in the storyline.
The problem I have with Kingdom Hearts is that they keep backing the timeline up. And like Kingdom Hearts 1 is not even like the start of the story. It's like 5th in line or 3rd in line. And they just keep backing this story up so that they can include more ridiculous Square Enix crap. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
So they can retcon their retcons.
If you want a really good video that will make you laugh about Kingdom Hearts, it will probably make you really mad if you're a serious Kingdom Hearts fan. Jimquisition did
I saw this video.
A fantastic video on, it's called Kingdom Hearts is Gibberish. And he doesn't even attempt to try to tell you the story. He does go through the whole story, but the way he does it is hilarious. Actually, what I found was that Polygon.com had a really great article about the story so far that had a video, or you could read it. I read it, and it made much more sense to me. If you go in blind to Kingdom Hearts 3, like if this is your first Kingdom Hearts, you will have absolutely no clue about anything going on other than Disney characters. And I hate that about a game. I really do. Like, even the recaps, like, they have these recap videos you can watch at the beginning before you start playing Kingdom Hearts 3. They even manage to make it more confusing.
Nice.
Do you think, as I'm not quite well known of the Kingdom Hearts franchise, and truthfully don't care to be that much, but do you think we could see Kingdom Hearts coming to the Switch? Now, not necessarily 3, but,
the first two, yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
I do. I think that, and here's where I think the tail of the tape will be, is do the Final Fantasy remakes or re-releases, do they succeed on the Switch? If so, sure. Right? Like if there's an appetite for PlayStation 2 era games, RPG games from Square Enix, sure, they'll put whatever they want on there.
Right.
Which would be cool. I mean, it would, and I would say this, like, I don't think I would even be more, I wouldn't be any more hyped about Kingdom Hearts 3 if it was on the Switch. Because this is a game that my wife is invested in too. So, like, the other night, I bought it, and we got home, and I was like, Aaron, do you want me to wait to start it until, yes, she does. Because she's a huge Disney fan, so am I. We played through the first two games together, so this is a game we're playing together. We're not going to play it apart from each other, right? Like, unless I have to do some level grinding and stuff to get to a point where I can beat something, I'll do that without her. But I'm not going to play it when she's not around.
Right.
So it's going to take me a while to get through, and it's just like, it's just so daunting. It seems very overwhelming. I don't even think that Nintendo has anything you can compare to it. Because even like Breath of the Wild, if that's your first Zelda, you don't have to know anything, right?
Right.
I mean, it's a completely self-contained.
And even the Zelda timeline
game.
does tend to creep back. But you agreed. You don't need to know it.
Let's be honest. The Zelda timeline is just as screwed up as Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, that's a given.
It may be at the same level. Nintendo doesn't even know how it works. I don't even think that Square Enix knows how the Kingdom Hearts timeline works.
No, if they do,
they keep just shoving more characters in there, and like I got to this point last night where I got to play as Riku, who is like Sora's friend from the first two games. And he's a pretty big deal character. He's very popular in the game. He's traveling with Mickey Mouse, King Mickey. And I'm sure that this was a very poignant and powerful scene, but I don't care. Like, it didn't do anything for me. And like, I'm seeing people tweet about it, and they're like, opening cinematic made me cry. I was confused. I don't get it. And the thing is like, if you count Kingdom Hearts games, Kingdom Hearts 3 is really the 10th game in the series if you're going in chronological order. And in some cases, some fans count it as the 12th game in the series because there's a VCast game and there's a mobile game that also, like, the mobile game has storyline elements that you can't get anywhere else. I don't get it. I don't understand, and I'm sure it's a fine game. I will play it and I will beat it, but I will not get everything out of it because I'm not gonna, like, trying to deep dive into Kingdom Hearts lore is like trying to deep dive into Kirby lore. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever looked up Kirby lore?
That's a thing?
Oh my gosh. Jesse, go do it and say bye-bye to your weekend. I'm serious. Like, there's all this Kirby stuff I had no clue about. I was like, I don't know.
Marty, anyway, you've been playing another game though, haven't you? Have you been playing?
I have been. Yeah. I'm glad you said something. I've actually been playing Unruly Heroes as well, from the Magic Design Company. And guys, it's fantastic. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a joy. Justin, I'm going to describe it this way, and I might sell it to you when I say this. It's like Rayman Legends and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze had a baby.
Interesting. Tell me
Yeah.
more.
So, Unruly Heroes is the tale of four Chinese heroes. It's set in like Chinese mythology, right? And they are on a quest to recover a scroll that has been shattered into pieces that, of course, protects the land from evil and all that good stuff. It is equal parts Rayman Legends, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and Donkey Kong Country Returns, and like the Lost Vikings, if you remember that game back in the day. All four heroes.
I think I made that reference last week.
You did, and I'm glad you did, because it I like playing it, and I've put some time into it. It very much reminds me of that. It is a puzzle platformer. There is combat, but there's also puzzles you have to solve. You're able to switch between these four heroes on the fly. So you'll be playing as the monkey, and I think his name is Wukong, and he has the ability to he's fast and he's agile. He can double jump, but he has the ability to use the staff that he attacks with and project it and make it like a bridge across platforms. And then there's a pig who he has a floaty jump, like he flutters his ears and he floats, but he can also jump higher than the other characters. But his power is he can inflate himself like a balloon, and you can get to different parts of the level. There's a monk, the sand monk, who can only he's the only one who can like punch through certain walls. And then there's a magic user that kind of reminds me of Zenyatta from Overwatch. And she can or I think it's a he actually can use his he throws these orbs, and his special thing is that he can throw those and hit targets and open up new areas and stuff. And so you've got to use all of these characters together, and each level, it's very Rayman-esque in the art style and the way the game plays, but it also has that like branching path. I've got to find all the collectibles, kind of ramp up in difficulty like Donkey Kong does. There's parts of it that reminded me so much of Tropical Freeze. Like I was like just shades of stuff, like you're running and you're platforming, and then all of a sudden stuff's falling around you and you've got to navigate this really difficult platforming section. And then at the end of it, you have this feeling of accomplishment, right? And it's a fun game. I like when I saw it on the indie highlights, I was like, oh man, I'm interested in the game. But like I found myself, the more I play it, the more I want to play it. Right. And that to me is the mark of a great game. And I'm interested to see where the story goes. I've just finished the first section, which is like the skull yard or something like that. And there was a big epic boss fight at the end with like a towering room-filling boss, and it's super good. I mean, I don't know what else I need to say. If a mixture of those games, or you like those games and they appeal to you, especially Rayman and Donkey Kong, this is a game for you. And I think it's $19.99 on the eShop right now. So just set you back $20. You support a great developer. I know this is their first release on the Switch. It has a ton of charm and style. The sound is, and music are spot on. I do want to say this too. There was a part that I came to in one of the levels where you actually get to take control of the enemy that you're fighting. Like you beat down this wolf guard, and your hero's spirit goes into him, and now you're the wolf, and you have a totally different play style with them. Like you can command wolflings, and they're in the background and they're pressing switches so you can move forward and do all this. So it's just go pick it up. Unruly Heroes. I know War Groove's coming out today as you hear this. Pick them both up. We'll talk about War Groove next week. I'm sure it's great, but don't sleep on Unruly Heroes. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Interesting. I'm going to go to the shop right now.
Yeah. I hope that my recommendation proves well.
Well, you have taken my recommendation at times.
Yes.
So I'm going to
absolutely. As you're doing that, let's kind of wind down the show. No community spotlight tonight because of all of the news, but we do want to throw out a couple of things. Last week on the show, we talked about the fact that we're beginning our $50 eShop drawing each and every month for one of our patrons, and we're happy to announce this month we're giving away not one but two different things in this drawing. First prize is going to win a $50 eShop card. Second prize is going to win a flip grip, which Jesse has talked about numerous times on the show, which is an accessory for the Switch that holds your Joy-Cons and allows you to enjoy games in Tate mode. So
Thank you.
we'll be sending one of those along to you here in just a minute. But we're going to announce the winners for this month. First and foremost, winner of $50 eShop credit is Gabe Bourgeois. I hope I said that right. Gabe, you know I said it. Gabe. You will be getting in contact with you via Patreon over the next couple of days, and we'll be getting with you about how to receive your eShop credit. And then the winner of the flip grip is Ebucel,
who's currently in our chat, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do believe he's currently in our chat. So Ebucel, thanks for hanging out with us in chat tonight. Enjoy your brand new flip grip. We'll be sending that along to you very soon as well. Also, I want to encourage you not to forget, listeners, if you're a patron of the show, don't forget about the tournament that's going on right now, run by our very own Drew. He's over there in the Let's Play channel and the tournaments and leaderboards channel, running a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tournament in time trials. He needs your entries this week. And so get over there. There's 4 tracks to choose from. The more you do, the more points that you have or stand to win. Please don't let John Blanco win another tournament. Think of the children.
If there's any goal we want, it's not for John to win.
That is correct. He wins too much. And so, guys, with that, we're going to close out the show. Huge congratulations to our winners. And those that will eventually beat John Blanco in a tournament. But we also want to say a huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Chris Mears, John Blanco, Dave Ernsberger, and Timothy Off for supporting us at the $30 level. You guys are awesome, as well as all of our patrons over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. And if you would like to jump in and help support us, you can do that over there for as little as $1 a month and get access to our Discord. $5 patrons get access to the full Discord. $10 patrons get access to post and pre-show content. $15 and up get exclusive videos, and $30 the art card as well. So go check us out over there. You can follow us on our social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, anywhere we are, YouTube, at Nintendo Dads, all together, Nintendo Dads. You can also email us at nintendodads@gmail.com. Call us and leave a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. And if you want to buy some sweet Nintendo Dads merchandise, head on over to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store to get the hookup. Big thanks to OC Remix for all the music throughout the show. Right now, we're going to have a moment of silence for the Wii Shop channel for providing us years of entertainment. Fare thee well, old friend. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Wobble Puffet? Wobble Buffet?
Is this where we sing I Will Remember You from Sarah McLachlan for the Wii Shop? I will remember you.
All week long, like hearing that, I've just been coming up with lyrics to it. It's like, buy some stuff, come on in and buy some stuff. I know you want to buy some stuff. Open your wallet and buy some stuff. Convert your money to Nintendo points. You can't get a refund now. Ha ha ha. Now you have to use them, but you don't have enough, and you can't add more.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Keep